And news just coming in regarding that recruitment plan that is being, in fact, introduced by the government. It's going to start rolling over in the next 2 days. Now we have news coming in that they have decided to give 3 years age relaxation beyond the prescribed upper age limit to Agniveers for recruitment in CAPFs as well as the Assam Rifles. Further, for the first batch of Agniveers, the age relaxation will be 5 years beyond the prescribed upper age limit. We have Vishnu joining us on the phone line. Vishnu, earlier in the first 24 hours, the government sort of increased that upper age limit yesterday to 23 from 21 for the first year, that's 2022. And now we're seeing a few changes coming about as well.
So, Divya, that was done on a one-time basis. It's very important to remember that. That was done on a one-time basis earlier on. And now there are further concessions which have been announced by the government. The first one is that 10% of all vacancies for recruitment in the Central Armed Paramilitary Forces and in the Assam Rifles will go to Agniveers. So, essentially, this is an effort by the government to say that once at the end of 4 years, if you're worried about not getting a job, then there is the quota which exists now for the Central Armed Paramilitary Forces, Central Armed Police Forces, and therefore Agniveers after 4 years of training can join the Assam Rifles or the other Central Armed Police Forces. So that's a job opportunity. The Home Ministry has also decided to give a 3-year age relaxation beyond the prescribed upper age limit to Agniveers for recruitment in the Assam Rifles and the Central Armed Police Forces. So that basically means that even after leaving the armed forces after 4 years, they would get a couple of years of a grace period, or call it what you want, where they can try their hand in something else, and if that doesn't work out, they can still try and join the police forces, the Assam Rifles and the Central Armed Police Forces.
Vishnu, these changes coming about after all those protests that have taken place across the country.
Also, the first batch of Agniveers, the age relaxation will now be for 5 years beyond the prescribed upper age limit. I think this is the absolute key point. Remember, the upper age limit for Agniveers was 21. That was increased on a one-time basis to, I believe, 23. Now, that age limit has gone up for 5 years. So, from 21, it should be about 26 years of age. So, those who are worried about, that age limit being a factor, do get a chance to actually join. So these are all moves which the government is doing now, and it's obviously linked to the massive protests which are taking place. But there is one important question which remains unanswered. If there is a certain quota which now exists on the basis of which people can join the Central Armed Police Forces, a 10% quota, then what about those individuals who wanted to join the police force at the very onset, because the police are very big employers in this country as well? Those individuals will now have to compete for fewer slots, which are available. Why? Because there is a 10% quota for Agniveers. So the number of regular, seats available for the police forces, which other people who wanted to join the police forces from the very onset, they'd be trying to, get a berth in fewer available seats. So,
right. So, Vishnu, in the last 48 hours, we're seeing changes being made by the government regarding that recruitment plan. Hopefully, there probably will be more changes coming about.
No, not necessarily. We have no inkling of that so far. All we know is that, they're constantly trying to adjust this, as we've seen, because there are obviously huge protests and there is a huge backlash against the program, as it were. And the primary concern is what happens to people after 4 years when they leave.
Right.
So these are some of the moves which the government is doing to address that. But whether they have anything more than this, that remains unclear at this stage.